want to bring in Elizabeth Newman, the Trump administration's former Assistant Secretary for Counterterrorism and Threat Prevention. Elizabeth, thank you so much for being here this morning. As we heard from Pierre and Martha, there's so many aspects of this siege that are raising questions, and one of them is that question about the arrests. The videos that we saw over and over again of many of these people just walking out of the Capitol, no problem. Why weren't they arrested on the spot?
I am perplexed and angered by the fact that they weren't. These were domestic terrorists. It meets the definition of domestic terrorism. It meets the definition of sedition. It meets the definition of insurrection. It makes no sense why they were allowed to walk out the door. And as others have noted, the only rationale that I can come up with is because of the color of their skin. It just doesn't make sense. And I hope that the appropriate people are held accountable. Usually calls like this are made up the chain. It's not necessarily individual officers, but it's a leadership problem. There was no reason they shouldn't have treated the intelligence seriously. We had warning. We knew there were attempts or desires to try to do something at the Capitol. Even if they thought it was just chatter online, the morning of, there were indications of a different type of crowd that was gathering at the Capitol. They should have at that point said, uh-oh, this is different than what we thought. Let's call in reinforcements. I mean, there are any number of bad decisions that were made in the lead up to Wednesday and on Wednesday that people will need to be held accountable for.
And can you explain a little bit about what you mean when you say a different type of crowd started gathering at the Capitol and that should have been a warning sign?
Sure. There were reports that while the rally was going on, where President Trump was speaking at the Ellipse, which is for your viewers, that's about a mile away from the Capitol. There was a group of militia that were gathering, and they were handing out leaflets and basically indicating that they planned to conduct acts of violence. So at the point at which you started to see, hey, these people aren't down where the president is rallying, that they have a slightly different intent. And as the timelines are being developed, and of course, this is still very early on in the investigation, I'm sure more will come out, but it appears that there were people at the Capitol starting to try to antagonize and conduct violent activity before the major part of the crowd from the president's rally even got there. So they should have, through good policing, observed that the people that were huddling there were different than the people down the mall that were marching down. So I just, for a whole variety of reasons, and any number of policing experts, far more expert than I am, have noted this was an absolute failure of preparation and a failure on the day of to do what is basically, the norm or the best practice when you're dealing with a riotous situation.
As a professional in counterterrorism and threat prevention, what went through your mind as you watched this unfold?
We knew that there was going to be violence. We just didn't know where, we didn't know how. There had been reports that perhaps the Capitol would be a rallying point. So in the lead up to Wednesday, had I been in government, I would have been looking for what's the plan for the Capitol. We all, of course, anywhere the president goes, the Secret Service takes extreme precautions to make sure he is protected. So in some ways, I was less concerned about something happening at the White House, much more concerned about what would happen at the Capitol. And then in the past, we have seen protest, counter-protest violence, so that's always a concern. And you saw the mayor take pretty good steps in the lead up to Wednesday to make sure that the streets of DC, what was her jurisdiction, were protected. For the Capitol Police to have allowed the breakthrough of the perimeter so quickly, I mean, it told you as you're watching it unfurl, you're like, oh my gosh, they were not prepared. There's no reason that it should have been so easy for them to be able to break through the perimeter and enter into the Capitol grounds. The other thing that surprised me, though, is that given that they gained access and basically had control of our Capitol for a number of hours, I don't think they expected to be able to get in, because if they had, I think they would have prepared to conduct more acts of violence. Certainly, from what Martha Raddatz just reported, there were individuals that would have loved to conduct political assassinations or bombings. It's a little questionable why that didn't happen, but this could have been so much worse than it was.
So, looking back on it now, how would you go about figuring out how this happened, where the failures lied? What should law enforcement be doing now?
Well, immediately you've seen the resignations of the key officials at Capitol Hill, or the Capitol Police. That's the right answer. You need to send a signal that this will not be tolerated. The Capitol Police is a part of the legislative branch, and so the separations of powers gets a little complicated. But Congress will need to act to set up an independent commission to investigate what went wrong. There are so many, very reasonable accusations that this was that perhaps the Capitol Police were complicit, perhaps they were helping some of these domestic terrorists, and those investigations need to be taken seriously. And if there is anybody in the police force that was supporting these actors, they need to be removed from duty, and they need to be held accountable through the justice system. But that's going to take an act of Congress to do that independent investigation. Separately, I think there are a lot of concerns that I have within the executive branch law enforcement apparatus. It appears that we didn't have an intelligence bulletin go out before January 6th. That's the norm. Normally, the FBI and DHS put out a joint bulletin to law enforcement agencies giving their assessment of the threat. It's surprising to me that that did not occur in this instance. It happened before Charlottesville. It's happened before other events like this. So it doesn't make sense why it didn't go out. It also doesn't make sense why there was such a big lag time between clearly the Capitol becoming overwhelmed and other executive branch agency law enforcement elements coming to the scene to help. So there are a lot of unanswered questions here, and we have 12 days until the next special security event. Thankfully, there's a lot more resources for the inauguration, but there needs to be some pretty serious conversations at senior levels to hold the law enforcement forces accountable for making sure that they do not turn a blind eye to these domestic terrorists. We knew this threat was there, and they did not, for some reason, take it seriously. I think they thought they were just going to protest, and if that's what they thought, they had not been paying attention to the threat assessments and to the history of this country. 76% of all terrorist attacks in the last 10 years have come from violent right-wing extremists, not foreign terrorists, not Al-Qaeda or ISIS, but violent right-wing extremists, and the preponderance of those are white supremacists. It is a wake-up call for law enforcement. You must treat this seriously. You must treat this like you would treat Al-Qaeda or ISIS. This is a threat to our country.
So if you are President-elect Joe Biden right now, how do you go about trying to ensure that, one, your inauguration is a safe one, but also how do you and your Attorney General nominee go about making sure what happened on Wednesday is properly investigated?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, I think that just having fresh leadership at the top changes so many things for the executive branch. I know that good men and women at the FBI, at DOJ, at DHS have for 4 years had to tap dance around trying to carry out their duties and not antagonizing the president. And on January 20th, they will no longer have to tap dance. They will be supported in their mission. They will be able to conduct justice and fulfill their mission. So that alone is a huge game changer for many. But clearly, we have a problem in this country, and even if it is just perception, we have to address the perception that law enforcement is embedded with white supremacists or people that support this right-wing violence. Sadly, I don't think it's just a perception issue. It probably is. There probably is infiltration of our law enforcement forces of right-wing extremists. We have documented evidence of that. So I think it's important for the Attorney General to treat this seriously, to conduct a thorough review of the federal law enforcement forces, and to provide an example for state and local law enforcement to conduct similar reviews and remove anybody that is aligned with these violent extremist forces.
All right, former DHS counterterrorism official Elizabeth Newman, thank you so much for being here this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.